Welcome to this stories. What if your wife begins to shower her boss with compliments? A spark ignites, and you can't help but feel a pang of jealousy. The air thickens with unspoken tension, and you wonder if there's more behind those words than mere admiration. A dangerous dance unfolds, leaving your heart racing and your mind swirling with doubt. It feels innocent, doesn't it? A hint of something deeper, a spark that dances just out of reach. I felt the same way. But let me share a secret with you. When your wife can't help but sing the praises of another man, especially one who crosses her path daily, it might just be the beginning of a heart-wrenching dilemma you never saw coming. I discovered that truth through pain. When I finally uncovered the truth, my heart ached instead of shattering. I stayed silent, my heart aching for the truth I couldn't voice. I chose my path carefully. With each careful move, my heart raced, knowing the thrill of what lay ahead was both intoxicating and dangerous. Finding her in that moment was just the beginning of everything I had in mind. What about the next chapter? That was the moment that shattered everything she thought she knew. But before we dive into the depths of this passionate tale, let's rewind to where it all began. My name is Oscar, and at 43, I felt the fragile threads of my marriage begin to unravel. I was just an ordinary soul, caught in a world that felt so far out of reach. For nearly 20 years, I poured my heart into designing roads and bridges, crafting paths that connected lives, yet feeling a longing for something more elusive, something just out of reach. It was a safe haven, a place where I found solace, yet my heart yearned for something more, something I couldn't quite grasp. Hadley, my wife, was 40, a bittersweet age, filled with unspoken desires and fleeting glances. We crossed paths in college, two souls brimming with youthful dreams and unspoken desires. She was immersed in the world of marketing, while I found myself lost in the depths of engineering textbooks. In the chaos of that house party, we found each other amidst the noise. The kitchen became our sanctuary, where time slipped away as we shared secrets and laughter, oblivious to the world outside. Hadley radiated a vibrant energy, her ambition and charm captivating everyone around her. Her smile had a way of igniting the darkness, and in those moments, I felt like the world was ours, even if it was just for a heartbeat. We exchanged vows after 4 years of stolen moments, right when I finally grasped my first real chance at a future. She stepped into the world of advertising, rising through the ranks, while I quietly forged my own path, each of us unaware of the magnetic pull between our lives. We shared 2 beautiful children, a spirited 14-year-old daughter, Riley, and our adventurous 9-year-old son, Rylan. Life rushed by, yet we carved out stolen moments for each other. Once we did. Somewhere along the way, everything shifted. Recently, her gaze held a spark that sent shivers down my spine. A piece of my heart felt lost, an ache I couldn't name. It felt as if I had faded into the background, just another shadow in her life. Something she recognized but no longer truly saw. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, a mere consequence of years spent together, but a part of me understood the truth all too well. Her gaze lingered on me, a silent promise wrapped in longing. In those fleeting moments of our youth, before life's burdens took hold, her eyes sparkled with joy the instant I entered the room. There was a spark between us, a secret longing that wrapped around my heart, making me believe I was the only one who mattered. Those days seemed like a distant memory, a secret we once shared. It started with small moments, a soft sigh escaping her lips as I shared my day, her gaze drifting off into the distance, as if she were lost in another world altogether. She would lean in, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, asking about my work, my projects, and what I had planned for the weekend. Each question felt like a secret shared between us, a fleeting moment that lingered in the air, charged with unspoken feelings. In that moment, I could have confessed that I left everything behind for a life of wild dreams, and she would have simply smiled, lost in her own world, never truly grasping the weight of my words. Then, she began to share secrets about her boss. Initially, it seemed insignificant. People often chatter about work, but her words were different. They were filled with admiration, a spark of something deeper lurking beneath the surface. "Ronan is such a great leader," she whispered one night over dinner, her eyes glimmering with something unspoken. "He has a way of igniting something deep within, something that feels both exhilarating and dangerous. A few days later, she whispered about how effortlessly Ronan navigates the weight of the world, his calm a stark contrast to the storm brewing in her heart. If only I could hold on to that calmness forever. It happened more than once, each time igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. It was always there, lingering in the shadows. I fought to keep my heart from aching. Having a boss you admire feels like a sweet secret, doesn't it? I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just admiration for his strength or something like that. But then, the whispers began. Ronan has a way of making everyone feel seen in meetings, she whispered, her eyes locking onto mine as I avoided her gaze, lost in my own thoughts. He always listens, as if my words are a secret meant only for him. Last week, Ronan orchestrated a surprise outing for the team, a moment filled with unspoken tension and fleeting glances. He knows just how to lift my spirits, even when it feels like we shouldn't be this close. And the most painful part is, Ronan's wife is so fortunate. He can't help but dream of the little things that would make her heart flutter. That one had pierced my heart. I bit my lip, stifling the storm inside me as I moved the food aimlessly on my plate, a chill creeping into my heart. Perhaps I was just being dramatic. Perhaps I was simply feeling too much. What harm could it do to admire him, even if it felt a little wrong? It was just a fleeting moment, wasn't it? It was more than just her words about him. It was in the silence that she left me aching. She used to see me, really see me, when I moved through our shared space. If I could just mend the leaky faucet, her smile would light up the room, and she'd squeeze my hand, whispering her gratitude for my small act of care. If I surprised her by making dinner, her laughter would fill the room, and she'd whisper how fortunate she felt to have a husband who could create magic in the kitchen. Why not? Everything felt so heavy, yet so light, as if the world around us faded away. In that stolen moment, our hearts whispered secrets that dared not be spoken aloud. An unfamiliar distance had settled between us, creating a tension I couldn't ignore. We were two souls drawn together, knowing the risks, yet unable to resist the pull of something so beautifully wrong. Even if I had crafted her a dream kitchen, she would have remained blissfully unaware of the depths of my longing. She began to wear clothes that whispered secrets, hinting at a world just out of reach. Subtle, yet undeniable. She started dressing differently, as if trying to redefine herself. One morning, I whispered a joke, my heart racing at the thrill of the unspoken tension between us. "Are you daring to change your appearance?" I had dared to ask. She merely shrugged, her gaze lingering on the steam rising from her coffee, as if it held all the answers she dared not speak. She whispered it like a secret, a longing for something more. I had hoped that was all it could ever be. Yet, in the shadows of my heart, uncertainty started to whisper. One night, I dared to ask her if everything was all right. Her eyes widened, a mix of surprise and something unspoken, as if my question had shattered the fragile silence between us. "What are you trying to say?" "Text, I don't know." I whispered, my fingers tracing the nape of my neck, a mix of confusion and longing swirling within me. "You've been changed in a way that pulls at my heart." Far away, her expression wavered, a fleeting glimpse of something deeper, before she masked it with a practiced smile. "Work has been overwhelming," she confessed, her voice trembling with unspoken feelings. That's everything. I wanted so desperately to trust her. I truly did. Yet, the way she uttered those words, so swift and practiced, sent a shiver through my core. That night, as I lay beside her in bed, the soft rhythm of her breath filled the silence, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was stirring within me, something I shouldn't be feeling. Yet, in the depths of my heart, I understood. I couldn't help but feel the weight of unspoken desires. And then there was the phone, a silent bridge between us, pulsing with unspoken words and longing. Hadley had always been carefree, never imagining her phone could hold whispers of a love that felt both thrilling and wrong. Throughout our marriage, it lingered in the kitchen, on the nightstand, beside her on the couch, always close, yet never truly claimed. When the phone rang from the other room, her voice would drift through the air, a soft plea for him to uncover the mystery on the other end, as if their unspoken connection made it all feel so natural, yet so risky. But then, everything shifted. It began with a whisper. She began to guard it fiercely, slipping it into her pocket, hiding it away from prying eyes. Then, she gently turned it over, the screen hidden from view, as if shielding a secret from the world. I brushed it off, thinking she simply wanted to keep the distractions at bay. It's nothing, really. But then, something else caught my eye. She could no longer bear to leave it unattended, the weight of unspoken feelings too heavy to ignore. Whenever she slipped away to the bathroom, the phone was her constant companion, a silent witness to her secret longing. As she stepped into the kitchen, the glass of water felt like a fragile secret in her hand, a moment suspended between longing and reality. Even as she lounged on the couch, lost in her thoughts, her fingers clutched it tightly, as if it held the weight of their unspoken connection. I can't pinpoint the moment it began, but with each passing day, the weight of my feelings grew heavier, wrapping around my heart like a secret I dared not share. One night, we found ourselves on opposite ends of the couch, the flickering light of the TV illuminating the space between us, as a crime drama unfolded in the background. Hadley was lost in her phone, the glow of the screen casting a soft light on her face, oblivious to the world around her. Her fingers danced across the screen, a flurry of emotions spilling into words, then hesitating, caught in the thrill of what could be. Her smile was fleeting, a whisper of something more. A fleeting, secret smile danced on her lips, hinting at a hidden joy that felt both thrilling and wrong. I stole a quick glance, drawn in by the spark of her laughter, a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. In that moment, she turned the screen just out of my view, her body subtly moving as if to shield a secret. That felt different. I fought to ignore it, but my heart betrayed me. Perhaps it was merely a longing that couldn't be ignored. Perhaps she was sharing something intimate, a secret meant only for her friend's eyes, and didn't want me intruding on that fragile moment. Yet, there was an undeniable pull that twisted my insides. Just as I was ready to immerse myself in the moment, I caught sight of her erasing the message thread, and my heart sank. She hit send, and in an instant, she was gone, leaving only a lingering ache in the silence. Lost to the shadows. I'm not naive. Messages are often erased when secrets linger in the shadows, whispering of unspoken desires. I held my silence, the weight of unspoken words heavy between us. I hoped I wasn't imagining things. Yet, as the days passed, I found myself drawn in deeper. Hadley's eyes were glued to her phone, a secret world she seemed to escape into. But as I approached, she'd quickly look away or change the screen, leaving me yearning for a glimpse of what was just out of reach. As I stepped into the room, her fingers froze over the screen, a fleeting panic flickering in her eyes. She shifted, laughter spilling from her lips, but it felt forced, a desperate attempt to mask the truth that hung between us. And then the whispers in the dark began. Hadley had always preferred the quiet of day, but tonight felt different, electric with a thrill she couldn't ignore. She often slipped under the covers by 10, surrendering to sleep almost immediately, unaware of the longing that lingered just outside her dreams. But suddenly, she began to linger in the quiet hours of the night. She lingered in the living room, phone clutched tightly, feigning interest in an article or video. Yet, I sensed the truth: she was waiting for something more, something unspoken. And just like that, as the clock struck midnight, her phone buzzed softly, igniting a flutter of anticipation in her chest. It happened when I least expected it, a fleeting moment that caught me off guard. I rose quietly, the night still heavy around me, and slipped into the kitchen for a glass of water, heart racing at the thought of what lay just beyond the shadows. As I slipped past the living room, the gentle hum of her phone pulled at my heart. She grasped it in an instant, her heart racing with the thrill of the moment. "Hey," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. I froze, heart racing, hidden from view. "Yeah, I'm still up," she whispered, a brief pause hanging in the air before a soft, secretive laugh escaped her lips. "Not now, he's lost in dreams." Those words ignited something deep within me. I turned away, retreating to the safety of my bed, my heart racing with a mix of longing and fear. I tried to deny the truth, but my heart wouldn't let me pretend any longer. Hadley became distant, her conversations filled with a certain mystery I couldn't quite place, leaving me aching with the weight of unspoken truths. The next morning, my heart raced as I hoped she'd bring it up. Perhaps she'd whisper that a friend had reached out, Or maybe there was a sweetly innocent reason behind it all. Yet, her silence spoke volumes. Just a few nights later, it unfolded once more. This time, I chose to linger in the shadows of the night. I lay there in the shadows, heart racing, as Hadley quietly slipped away from me, leaving a bittersweet ache in the silence. The soft whisper of her voice drifted from the living room, stirring something deep within me. The following day, I couldn't help but ask, "You were up late last night, weren't you? Is everything all right?" She paused, a fleeting moment that would slip by unnoticed by most. Yet, I couldn't help myself. Then, she let out a soft sigh, her shoulders falling as if the weight of unspoken feelings hung in the air between them. Restless thoughts kept me awake. That was the moment. Not a word about the call. She kept her secrets close, the whispers of her heart hidden from the world. I held back. Not just yet. Instead, I began to observe with a heightened awareness. She would slip out to the back porch, arms crossed, phone pressed to her ear, a fleeting moment of solitude that felt like a secret between us. If I stepped away, she'd end it abruptly, her words trailing off into something ambiguous like, "Okay, I'll talk to you later," before the line went silent. One evening, as the water cascaded around her, I caught a glimpse of her phone glowing softly on the counter. An unnamed secret, lingering in the shadows. No one to reach out to. It rang twice, a fleeting promise, then fell silent. Moments later, a message appeared, stirring a flutter of anticipation in her heart. But just as my heart raced with anticipation, the notification vanished into thin air. She had programmed her phone to erase messages from unfamiliar numbers, a small shield against the unexpected. Yet, a part of her longed for the thrill of a message that could change everything. A wave of nausea washed over me. This was real, and it consumed me. It was something deeper, a pull that felt both exhilarating and wrong. Hadley seemed preoccupied with thoughts she wasn't ready to share. I tried to silence the whispers in my heart, reminding myself that I didn't know the whole story. Yet, in the depths of my heart, I had always known. I simply lacked the evidence for what my heart knew to be true. The pull was too strong to resist any longer. Hadley was concealing a secret, and deep down, I knew it wasn't just my imagination. Yet, I craved the undeniable truth. True evidence of our hidden connection. I'm not the best when it comes to technology. I can handle emails and spreadsheets, but my heart yearns for something more thrilling. But bringing back lost words? It felt like a dream I could never touch. I took the leap, driven by a longing I couldn't ignore. I sought help to understand the truth I was struggling to face. There I was, alone in my garage on a Saturday afternoon, with Colton, old college friend whose presence stirred something I thought I had buried long ago. His laughter echoed in the quiet space, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. Colt had a knack for slipping through barriers, his fingers dancing over screens with a skill that felt almost illicit, a thrill that sent shivers down the spine. He was the kind of guy who always had a million gadgets, effortlessly slipping through barriers like they were nothing. It had been ages since we last spoke, but when I reached out, my voice trembling with vulnerability, he simply listened. No probing questions, just an unspoken understanding that hung between us, electric and charged. Colt's voice broke the silence as he sat across from me at my workbench, the glow of my laptop illuminating the space between us, while phone cables lay scattered like secrets waiting to be uncovered. What is it that we truly seek in this moment? My heart raced with uncertainty. Whispering those words turned a fleeting thought into a heart-stopping truth. I can feel it. Hadley is keeping a secret, and it pulls at my heart in ways I can't ignore. She's erasing whispers, sneaking late-night conversations. I have to understand what's happening. Colt's breath caught in his throat, a sound escaping that was both surprised and longing. Oh, my heart. Are you really ready to take this path? It was a decision that came straight from my heart. No hesitation at all. Yeah, Colt took on the burden for me. After all, I couldn't risk crossing that line, delving into secrets that weren't meant for me. I never saw myself as one of them. But Colt, he had a way of making everything feel so right, even when it was all so wrong. After what felt like an eternity, he finally placed the proof in my trembling hands. At last, Colt sank into his chair, a mix of relief and longing washing over him. Okay, we share a secret. I took a deep breath. What could it be? Colt hesitated for a moment, then slowly turned the laptop around, revealing secrets that felt both thrilling and dangerous. The screen flickered with whispers of the past, each message a heartbeat of longing and secrecy. At first glance, they seemed innocent. Whispers of longing. Whispers of a moment yet to come. Yet, as I turned the pages, an undeniable tension began to weave through the words. And then I caught sight of his name. Ronan, you've made a lasting impression on me. Hadley's secret desire. The boy she could never forget. The messages lingered in the air, unspoken yet heavy with meaning. There were only stolen glances, unspoken feelings lingering in the air. Yet, they were never meant to be. Their whispers, the shared laughter, those stolen moments under the stars, just the thought of today's messages sends a thrill through me. It was everything. Then, I stumbled upon the messages that had vanished without a trace. Colt had unearthed them from the depths of forgotten storage, the kind of secrets most people never knew lingered on their devices, hidden and waiting to be discovered. I scrolled down, my heart racing as my hands clenched into tight fists. Ronan, you've made a lasting impression on me. I wish you could have lingered a little longer today. Hadley, I feel the same way. That fleeting moment in your office. It lingers in my mind, a sweet ache I can't shake off. Ronan, my heart races at the mere thought of you. It feels so wrong yet so right, a secret that binds us in the shadows. It haunts me, a bittersweet echo that won't fade away. You took my breath away. My vision wavered, a haze of longing clouding my thoughts. There it was, a fleeting moment that ignited a spark in the shadows. What lies beneath the surface, a secret yearning. Colt breathed out, a mix of longing and regret swirling in the air. Oh, how it stings. Words failed me. My jaw tightened, a painful reminder of the tension swirling around us. My chest ached, constricted, as if the air itself was a forbidden treasure I couldn't grasp. I couldn't stop scrolling. There were whispers of plans, fragile and fleeting, like stolen moments in the night. Secret encounters away from the office. Hadley had woven a web of secrets, her heart racing with each lie she told about her whereabouts. She had shared a secret world with him. A wave of nausea washed over me. I shoved the laptop aside, rising to my feet, my heart racing as I paced the confined space of the garage. My hands trembled with a mix of longing and fear. Colt's gaze lingered on me, filled with unspoken words. What do you desire? I hesitated, my heart racing in the silence. Thoughts swirled chaotically within me. Part of me ached to burst into Hadley's office and pull Ronan away, my heart racing at the thought of what we could never have. Yet, a deeper part of me ached to leap, to embrace the thrill of the unknown. I inhaled sharply. I crave every piece of it, every moment captured in ink. Colt's heart raced as he nodded, a silent agreement that felt both thrilling and dangerous. It's all over now. He slipped a flash drive into my hand, our fingers brushing for just a moment, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. Beware of the allure he holds. I held on to the evidence, knowing I had to make an important decision. I will, despite the odds against us. Hadley believed she had hidden the truth away, but the shadows whispered otherwise. Hadley thought everything was under control, but the truth eventually surfaces. Now, it was my moment to choose the path that lay ahead. I held the evidence close, my heart racing with the weight of what it meant. Each word on that screen pierced my heart, a painful reminder of what we could never have, yet I held my breath, waiting for the right moment to let it all out. Instead, I found myself taking a step I never imagined I would in my own marriage. I pretended not to know. I couldn't bring myself to face her. I held back my anger. I kept my secret close, hiding the truth deep within me. Hadley had been hiding the truth from me for what felt like an eternity, and the weight of her secrets was suffocating. She believed she had it all figured out. She believed she was being cautious. But the trouble with deceit is that once they believe they're safe, they begin to let their guard down. And I had hoped for that. At first, I merely watched from the shadows. I noticed the way her eyes flickered to her phone, a silent longing hidden beneath the surface. Text her fleeting glances, the way her lips curled into a smirk at a hidden message, only to vanish it without a trace, left a lingering ache in his chest. I found myself noting the nights she lingered at the office, the unexpected meetings that kept her away just a little longer. Each time she whispered her plans, I felt a flutter of anticipation, marking the minutes like secrets shared in the shadows. Moments later, I noticed inconsistencies in her schedule that made me wonder what was going on. She didn't realize I was noticing the changes in her behavior. Initially, everything matched her story: her office, the grocery store, the gym. But beneath the surface, something felt off, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. But then, one evening, she whispered that she was meeting someone for dinner at a quaint little cafe on the west side of town. But her phone was nowhere to be found at the cafe. It sat there, a silent witness to the secrets unfolding just beyond its reach. I sat there, eyes glued to the screen, my heart racing and my jaw clenched tight. The dot lingered, frozen in time, for what felt like an eternity. I struggled to keep my heart steady, to continue this dangerous dance. When she walked through the door that night, I was sprawled on the couch, a beer in hand, pretending the world was normal, hiding the storm brewing inside me. She entered, her lips brushing my cheek for just a moment, then carelessly dropped her purse on the counter. "Was dinner everything you hoped for?" I inquired, my heart racing beneath a calm facade. Her smile was a fleeting spark, igniting something deep within him that felt both thrilling and wrong. "Perfect." Jean and I had so much to share, yet the weight of our unspoken feelings hung between us. I nodded, my heart racing as I took a sip of my beer. "Is it really you? What secrets did you share?" "Oh, do you feel it too?" Duty calls. In the quiet moments, when the world fades away, a spark ignites. Hearts race in secret, drawn together by an unspoken bond, knowing that some connections are meant to be hidden. Every glance, every touch, feels like a stolen moment, a whisper of something beautiful yet forbidden. The thrill of the unknown lingers in the air, making each heartbeat echo with desire and longing. The same old story. She took a deep breath, her expression unreadable. "I'm utterly drained. I think I'll slip away early tonight." As she turns her back, my heart aches, and I clutch the bottle like a lifeline. Deceiver. Having caught a glimpse of it, an insatiable longing took hold of me, demanding certainty. I craved a glimpse of something deeper. I couldn't help but follow her every step. A few days later, she whispered to me about a networking event at a restaurant downtown, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and something unspoken. Her absence made me question everything I once believed about our relationship. A week later, she found herself at yoga after work, her heart racing with thoughts of him. Can you believe where she found herself? Every time, I wore a mask of trust, hiding the truth that lingered in the shadows. I pretended everything was fine. My heart raced as she stepped through the door, a smile breaking across my face. Text. I inquired about her day, my heart racing at the thought of her response. With each passing moment, the truth slipped further away, and the lies became a bittersweet comfort. But I craved something deeper. I had to find out when she would escape again, even if it meant crossing a line. One night, I found myself wide awake, long after Hadley had slipped into her dreams. As her breaths softened into a gentle rhythm, I hesitated for a moment, then quietly reached for her phone, my heart racing with the thrill of the secret. I never meant to open that door. I couldn't bring myself to. I brought it close to her face, letting the device reveal what my heart already knew. The screen unlocked with a soft, secretive click. My heart raced as I opened her email, a thrill of excitement and danger coursing through me. I found it quickly, that spark of something I shouldn't have been searching for. There it was, a whisper of fate, a confirmation email from a hotel downtown. A reservation made for this Friday night, under a name that sent a shiver down my spine. A name that hides the truth. I bit down, the pain a reminder of the tension swirling inside me. This was more than a fleeting impulse. She was secretly orchestrating their encounters, each one a stolen moment filled with longing. She treaded lightly, but her heart raced with the thrill of the unspoken. Friday arrived with a rush, catching me off guard. Hadley wore a smile that seemed to hold secrets, her laughter a little brighter, as if she was dancing on the edge of something thrilling and unspoken. At dinner, she glanced at her watch repeatedly, a soft sigh escaping her lips as the weight of unspoken words hung in the air. "Hey," she whispered, a shadow crossing her face. "I almost forgot to mention, I made a promise to Jen. I'll be helping her choose some furniture for her apartment tonight. She's been overwhelmed, and I promised to be by her side." I nodded, masking the turmoil inside me. "Of course, I understand. When do you think you'll return to me?" Her heart raced as she paused, if only for a fleeting moment. It's not too late to feel the spark between us, to chase the thrill of what we shouldn't have. Our hearts whisper secrets in the shadows, longing for a moment that feels both right and wrong. Maybe around 10. Whispered secrets. She wouldn't return by 10, and the ache of her absence lingered in the air. She had reserved the hotel room for the night, knowing it was a fleeting escape. Hadley pressed her lips softly against my cheek, a fleeting moment that sent a shiver down my spine, before she snatched her purse and slipped away into the night. My heart raced as I counted the seconds, 5 minutes feeling like an eternity. Finally, I stood up, snatched my keys, and stepped into the unknown, chasing after her. I took a detour, my heart racing with every step away from the familiar. The hotel could wait. There was something intoxicating about the thrill of the unknown, a pull I couldn't resist. I lingered, pausing at a gas station, clutching a coffee, pretending this was just another ordinary night. After what felt like an eternity, I finally parked in the hotel lot, my heart racing with anticipation. Her car sat waiting, a silent promise lingering in the air. But I couldn't just sit there, lost in its allure, like a fool. I craved a sign. True evidence. It was a truth that wrapped around her heart, leaving no room for words to escape. I parked a little distance away, heart racing, and held my breath as I waited. It happened in a heartbeat. 2 hours later, the hotel entrance glowed softly as the automatic doors whispered open. And there she stood, a fleeting glimpse of something so close yet so far. Hadley stepped outside, her hair a wild cascade, her dress whispering secrets of a night unspoken. She felt a presence beside her, a warmth that ignited something deep within. Ronan was so close, she could feel the heat of his presence. They strolled to her car, laughter dancing between them, a fleeting moment that felt both light and heavy with unspoken longing. Her fingers brushed against his arm, a spark igniting between them. He leaned down, his breath warm against her skin as he whispered something meant only for her ears. Then, just before they parted ways, he pressed his lips to hers, a fleeting moment that felt both electric and wrong. It was fleeting, yet it lingered in the heart. It was everything they shouldn't have wanted, yet it filled their hearts to the brim. I clutched my phone tightly, capturing the fleeting moments before slipping away into the night. She was mine, even if just for a moment. I lingered in my truck, heart racing, long after I drove away from the hotel parking lot. The coffee in my cup holder sat forgotten, its warmth fading away, just like the moments we could never share. I held the evidence close, my heart racing with the weight of what it meant. I thought I had it all. Hadley was dancing on the edge of something dangerous. She moved with a daring grace, fully believing I was oblivious to the truth hidden beneath her charming facade. Until this moment, she had always been right. But everything was about to shift. If I let my guard down, she'd twist it all against me. Let me be the one who dares to want the impossible. No, I thought I could handle it with logic and reason. I reached for my phone, my heart racing as I scrolled through my contacts, finally landing on the name that sent a thrill through me. Brian Caldwell. Brian was a man who navigated the tangled webs of broken hearts. Not just any divorce lawyer. The most incredible lawyer I ever met. We shared the same high school halls, drifting in separate worlds, yet somehow, we managed to keep a fragile thread of connection over the years. I had never sought his help before, but deep down, I felt a pull. When Brian took on a challenge, he always emerged victorious. I dialed his number, heart racing as the phone pressed against my ear. It rang twice, each chime echoing the tension in the air before he finally answered. "Tom, it's been too long." "Yeah," I whispered, my heart racing. "Hear me out, Brian. I have to tell you something important. It feels so intense." A fleeting silence lingered between us. "Are you available tomorrow morning? Our secret meeting, just us, at 9 o'clock. I'll find a way to be there, no matter the cost." Brian's office sat in a sleek, gray building downtown, a place where unspoken desires lingered in the air. Every detail was immaculate, the air thick with unspoken tension as the receptionist met my gaze with a hint of understanding, leading me into Brian's office. As I entered, he rose, his grip on my hand lingering just a moment too long before he gestured for me to take a seat. "All right," he whispered, sinking into the shadows of his chair. "Whisper to me your secrets." I bared my soul. The coldness between us felt like a chasm, each moment heavy with unspoken words and longing. The whispered calls in the dark. The messages erased, lingering like a whisper of what could have been. The evidence of Hadley's secret encounters with Ronan, hidden away in hotel rooms, cloaked in a false identity. Brian listened, his expression a mask of stillness, as if every word hung in the air, heavy with unspoken feelings. As I finished, he leaned back, the pen tapping softly against the desk, a tension hanging in the air between us. "I'm glad you came to me first before facing her," he said, his voice low and filled with unspoken tension. "That brings us closer, despite the odds. What must I do now?" I dared to ask. Brian let out a soft, trembling breath. "We must start by laying the foundation of our secret. We have what we need, but we must capture every moment, every whisper, to ensure it's never forgotten. Moments, places, memories. Captured. The deeper our connection grows, the more power you'll hold when the truth finally comes to light." I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. "Finished. What more is there to say?" Brian took out a legal pad, his heart racing as he began to write. "You have to cut ties with your finances right now," he whispered, urgency lacing his voice. "When you intertwine your lives, be cautious about the secrets that lie beneath the surface. Protect your heart and your resources, for not all connections are meant to be fully shared. The last thing you fear is her discovering your secret and taking everything away in an instant." I had a secret stash, a little something I'd tucked away over the years, just in case the world turned upside down. But what about our secret? That moment was ours alone. "Text, I can go to the bank today," I whispered, my heart racing at the thought of what it might mean for us. "Good," Brian whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence between them. "Take a piece of what we built together and keep it close to your heart. You're meant to have half, but it feels like so much more than that, doesn't it? She can't blame you for anything wrong if it's a balanced choice." I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. It was clever, yet it felt so wrong. Unfair. Brian wasn't merely competing, he was safeguarding my heart, ensuring I wouldn't suffer along the way. Then, we slipped into the house, hearts racing with the thrill of secrecy. My heart raced when Brian mentioned it. 10 years ago, Hadley and I took a leap together, finding a place that felt like ours, yet held secrets we dared not speak of. It was nothing extravagant, just a simple 3-bedroom house nestled in a serene neighborhood, holding secrets of stolen glances and unspoken desires. Yet, I had woven my heart into the fabric of that place. We built our lives there, entwined in a world that felt both ours and yet just out of reach. And now, I may have to risk everything for it. "The house bears both our names, doesn't it?" Brian whispered. "Absolutely. Do you want to hold on to this?" My heart raced with uncertainty. I wanted to hold on to it, despite everything. But could I bear to stay in the same place where her secrets lingered like shadows? I brushed my fingers across my skin, feeling the weight of unspoken words linger in the air. "I'm still figuring it out." Brian's heart raced as he nodded, a silent agreement that felt both thrilling and dangerous. "It's okay. Just brace yourself. If she dares to pursue it, it could become a tumultuous struggle. If you choose to walk away, we can work together to ensure you receive your fair share of what's rightfully yours." We ventured into the tangled web of vehicles, retirement dreams, and hidden debts. I had my truck, free and clear, while Hadley drove her car, a bittersweet reminder of what we could never fully share. It would be a simple goodbye, yet the weight of it lingers in the air. But leaving it all behind, it was more complicated than I expected. Brian spoke plainly, his words hanging in the air, charged with unspoken feelings. After 16 years of marriage, Hadley held a piece of my future, just as I held a piece of hers, binding us in a way that felt both familiar and achingly distant. "If we can uncover the truth," Brian whispered, his voice low and charged with tension, "we might just find a way to turn this situation in your favor." That made my heart flutter. As I stepped out of Brian's office, my heart raced with a newfound resolve. Protect my heart. I rushed to the bank, my heart racing as I transferred half of our shared funds into my own account, feeling the weight of secrecy. I also took the step of removing Hadley from my credit card, a decision that felt both necessary and painfully final. Capture every fleeting moment. I made a secret folder, capturing every stolen moment screenshots of our messages, the places we met, the dates that felt electric. If Hadley even attempted to deny it, I would hold the proof close, a secret between us that felt both thrilling and wrong. Brace yourself for the storm ahead. As Brian began to draft the divorce papers, I felt a pang in my heart, knowing I was the one managing the aftermath of our love's unraveling. I refused to let myself be vulnerable. Hadley had been wrapped in a web of secrets, and now the moment of truth was upon her. Little did she know, everything was about to change. As the divorce papers lay before me, I imagined confronting Hadley in the familiar warmth of our home, feeling the tension rise as she faced the truth of her choices, the weight of her secrets pressing down on us both. Yet, it still fell short. She had shattered my heart in silence. I was ready to confront her, heart racing, knowing the thrill of what I might uncover. It had been a torturous week since I saw her with Ronan at the hotel. She was blissfully unaware of my silent pursuit. I had no idea I was watching her emerge from that lobby, saw her smooth her hair as Ronan leaned in, whispering something just for her. I froze at the moment their lips met, a fleeting kiss before they slipped into their separate worlds. She returned each day with a smile, her messages about groceries filled with warmth, playing the part of the devoted wife, all while a secret lingered between us, unspoken yet palpable. But I could no longer pretend. My heart raced as I followed her every move, and like a secret ritual, she booked another room under a disguise for Friday night at that same hotel. Absolutely perfect. This was the moment I had to let go. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself at the hotel, heart racing, waiting for Hadley to arrive. I parked far enough to remain unseen, my heart racing as I watched the entrance, longing and fear intertwining in the shadows. I was drawn to her, caught in a web of unspoken feelings. I longed for her to sense the gravity of her actions, to witness her world shatter when she least anticipated it. Her car arrived just as the clock struck, a moment suspended in the air, charged with unspoken feelings. My heart raced as she emerged, her eyes darting around, a fleeting moment of uncertainty before she slipped through the glass doors, exuding an air of belonging that felt almost wrong. As if this was just another day in her heart's secret diary. I allowed her just 5 fleeting minutes. Just enough time for her to slip away, to find her place, and perhaps even craft a little lie about a late dinner with Jean. And then, I stepped inside. The hotel lobby buzzed with life, a kaleidoscope of faces and fleeting moments, each guest lost in their own world, some checking in, others hurrying away, their suitcases trailing behind like whispered secrets. I slipped by them, my heart racing as I made my way to the front desk. The woman behind the counter offered a smile that felt both warm and distant, a fleeting moment that stirred something deep within me. "Welcome, my heart. Is there a spot saved for us?" "Absolutely not," I whispered, my voice barely a breath. "Yet she does." Her smile wavered, a fleeting glimpse of something deeper hidden beneath the surface. "Your wife, is it? A bittersweet thought, isn't it?" "Absolutely." I took a deep breath as I pulled out my phone, my heart racing while I scrolled to the confirmation email I had sent to myself after that fleeting moment of unlocking Hadley's phone days ago. I turned the screen to face her, my heart racing with a mix of excitement and fear. She reserved a room using this name, a secret whispered between them. Her eyes flickered between the screen and mine, a moment charged with unspoken tension. Text: "I'm sorry, but I can't share that with you. Your silence is enough for me." I slipped my phone into my pocket, my face a mask of stillness. My heart races as I picture her, just out of reach. She paused, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, but my heart raced too fast to notice. I turned and walked toward the elevators, my heart racing with every step, knowing the weight of what lay behind me. I stepped onto the 5th floor, the one where Hadley had reserved our secret escape. I walked down the hall, my heart racing with each step. My heart had grown still, a quiet ache lingering in the shadows. I felt a cold emptiness inside. I paused outside room 512, my heart racing with anticipation and a hint of danger. Whispers danced through the air, pulling me closer to the door I dared not open. Soft, stifled giggles. "Ronan, you've made a lasting impression on me." I couldn't hold back. I hesitated before knocking. Whispers of longing linger in the air. Then, the sound of footsteps echoed in the silence. A moment suspended in time. Hadley's voice trembled, laced with uncertainty. Who could it be? I stayed silent. The door creaked ajar. Her face emerged, a fleeting smile gracing her lips. But then the weight of reality crashed down, leaving her breathless. Her body tensed, a rush of unspoken feelings coursing through her. Oscar, my heart races at the mere thought of you. I swung the door wide and stepped into the dim light, heart racing. Ronan stood by the window, that same damn dress shirt clinging to him like a memory I couldn't shake, just as it had the last time I followed her here. His eyes widened, a mix of surprise and something deeper, as if he were frozen in a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. Hadley took a step back, her breath hitching as a rush of emotions flooded her. I held my breath, the words caught in my throat. I held my tongue. I felt a storm brewing inside, yet my face betrayed nothing. My fingers trembled as I retrieved the divorce papers from my jacket, a bittersweet weight in my hands. Hadley, I whispered, my heart racing as I extended my hand toward her. I arrived with a secret to share. She stood frozen, heart racing, caught in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. Her eyes flickered nervously over the papers, a secret longing hidden beneath the surface. Ronan's gaze lingered on me, a moment suspended in time. She stood still, her lips parting and closing as if desperate to find the right words, to weave a lie that could free her from this moment. Yet, the truth hung heavy between us, unspoken and aching. Ronan finally found the words he had longed to speak. Hey, I just can't help but feel this pull between us. I whipped my head around, silencing him with a glance. My gaze lingered on him, a heartbeat stretched into eternity, before I offered a slow, icy smile. I'm not here for you, Ronan, I whispered, my heart racing. But please, don't fret. Your wife will receive a package as well. His face paled, a shadow of fear crossing his features. Hadley inhaled sharply, her heart racing with a mix of longing and fear. Oscar, I need you. I stepped closer, pressing the papers against her chest, leaving her no choice but to accept them. I know it all, I whispered, my heart racing. Each message, each whispered call. Every night you were with me, whispering sweet lies about being elsewhere. Her hands shook with a mix of longing and fear. Her lips trembled, a silent invitation hanging in the air. Oscar, please, it's not what you believe it to be. I chuckled softly, a bittersweet warmth blooming in my chest. It brought a fleeting smile, a moment of joy that felt almost wrong. Not how I feel. I swept my hand through the air, feeling the weight of unspoken words linger in the silence. Are you really going to tell me you booked a hotel under a fake name? Once more? Ronan stumbled into your room, and for a fleeting moment, the world outside faded away. Her heart raced as she fought back the tide of emotions. Her eyes were filled with longing, searching Ronan's face for a glimmer of hope, as if he held the key to her escape. Yet, Ronan's gaze drifted, as if he longed to escape this moment, this place, and the unspoken tension between them. I leaned in, my heart racing, and whispered softly. You toyed with my heart, Hadley, I whispered. You deceived me right before my eyes. You allowed me to care for you, to support you, to trust you, all while you were hiding this from me. Her eyes brimmed with unshed tears. I never wanted to cause you pain. I tilted my head, a rush of unspoken feelings swirling within me. Yes, I stepped back, my heart racing, my face a mask of uncertainty. So this won't hurt you, right? I spun away, my heart racing as I stepped into the unknown. As I stepped into the elevator, her voice cracked, sending a shiver down my spine. Oscar, please, just a moment. I pressed the button, my heart racing with the thrill of what might come next. The door creaked open, revealing a world that felt both thrilling and dangerous. And just like that, I was gone, my heart aching with every step away from him. She stepped back, perhaps realizing that some choices can't be undone. I stayed away from home that night. It felt like a lost cause. Hadley would be there, her heart racing, longing to speak, to reveal, to ensnare. Her words fell like whispers in the wind, barely touching my heart. Instead, I found myself in a dimly lit motel on the outskirts of town, where secrets lingered in the air. Just a simple room, a sturdy bed, and a sanctuary where I could escape, even if just for a moment. I craved a moment alone, my heart tangled in thoughts I dared not voice. It wasn't about her, nor the ache of what I had lost, but rather the thrill of what lay ahead. But deep down, I knew I couldn't stay, no matter how much my heart ached to linger. Hadley had stolen too much of my heart. Everything I held dear, everything I believed in, all slipping away. But she wasn't going to steal another moment of my destiny. As dawn broke, clarity washed over me, and I knew what I had to do. I was lost in the shadows of my heart. The first thing I did was reach out to Brian, my confidant. "Oscar, my heart races at the mere thought of you," he whispered the instant he answered. "What happened?" "It's over," I whispered, my heart aching with the weight of unspoken words. A moment suspended in time. Then, it settled. "I guess you're not keen on facing the aftermath with me." "I want out," I whispered, my heart racing as I leaned against the motel dresser, the weight of our secret pressing down on me. Utterly. I can't bear the thought of seeing her, of the inevitable arguments, or of the words that will cut deeper than they should. Brian exhaled softly, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging in the air. "Okay, let's find a way to make this work." As I placed the divorce papers in Hadley's trembling hands, the weight of our love hung heavy in the air, bittersweet and aching with unspoken words. Now, Brian would ensure everything progressed in my absence, a bittersweet ache lingering in my heart. "Are you really leaving me behind?" he whispered, his voice trembling with unspoken feelings. "Absolutely. It was a daring choice," he whispered. "I'll take care of the legal matters. Let her seek solace in the arms of her lawyer, not in yours." A sly smile tugged at my lips. "Thank you, Brian. Just keep the backup phone number on," he whispered, a hint of urgency in his voice. "Just wait for me to say it's okay to let go." I had to hurry before Hadley came searching for me, my heart racing with each step. I slipped into the house while she was away, my heart racing as I took only what I craved, nothing more, nothing less. A suitcase filled with memories, my heart racing, my world in a fragile balance. What comes next? She was so close to having it all. She had already discarded the love we once shared. What could a handful of furniture truly change? I abandoned my house key on the kitchen counter, a small act that felt like a secret between us. One less thread binding me to that world. As I stepped outside, I lingered at the door, stealing one final glance at the space where our secret moments had woven a life of their own. A life I once believed in, now revealed as a beautiful deception. I stepped outside, closed the door softly, and felt the weight of what I was leaving behind. I made the choice to move forward, leaving behind the past. First, I severed every connection Hadley could use to find me. Is it wrong to feel this way? The thrill of connection, yet the weight of secrecy lingers in the air. Lost to the shadows. Is it wrong to feel this way? Transition to a new account. A different path awaits. Can I have your number? Lost in the silence. Her voice was a haunting melody I tried to silence, and her name flashing on my screen felt like a forbidden invitation I dared not accept. She had her moment to speak. She embraced the shadows of deception instead. Next, I found myself drawn to a new job. I refused to wallow in self-pity. Everywhere I turned, my talents as a civil engineer were sought after, yet my heart yearned for something more elusive. Just one phone call to a distant colleague, and everything changed. The thrill of the unexpected interview hung in the air, charged with unspoken possibilities. In just a week, everything changed for me. And just like that, a new life beckoned, filled with unspoken desires and a thrill that felt both exhilarating and wrong. I drove out of town that night, the road ahead whispering secrets of what could never be. With no destination in sight and the weight of the past lifted, I felt an intoxicating sense of freedom wash over me. Hadley would wake up realizing things had changed in ways she never expected. 6 months had slipped by since I left that house, that town, and the warmth of Hadley's presence behind me forever changed. In the beginning, she sought me out. Brian's messages were a lifeline, each email from Hadley's lawyer a reminder of the tangled emotions and unspoken desires that lingered between us. The pleas for meetings, the desperate attempts at reconciliation, all felt like a bittersweet dance we were not meant to join. Hadley, of course, held her own secrets close. Some were filled with fury, others with longing, and a few carried whispers of regret. I couldn't bring myself to read even one. Once the papers were finalized, I severed the last fragile threads that bound us. Silence hangs heavy, a void where once there was warmth. No more whispers, no more stolen glances, just an aching absence. Hadley was a ghost in my life, and I had become a shadow in hers. I moved to a new city, embraced my job, and crafted a life that felt entirely separate from her. Yet, her memory lingered, a bittersweet echo in my heart. In that fleeting moment, a rush of liberation washed over me, igniting a spark I thought had long been extinguished. Then, one fateful night, she discovered me. The evening was still, holding secrets in its silence. After a grueling day at work, I found myself slipping into my favorite diner for a late-night meal, the air thick with unspoken tension. Just a simple meal, a fleeting moment of solace before the world pulls me back in. Then, as I sat there, anticipation coursed through me. The electric thrill of being watched, a secret longing in the air. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of her, standing there like a secret I wasn't meant to find. Hadley, my heart races at the mere thought of you. She lingered by the entrance, a haunting figure who seemed to have finally found her way to me. In that fleeting instant, we were frozen, hearts racing, caught in a web of unspoken desires. The surprise in her gaze was palpable, and as she took a tentative step closer, it was as if she couldn't fathom that our paths had crossed at last. I stood still, heart racing, holding my breath as the moment hung in the air. As she approached my table, her breath hitched, and her hands quivered with an unspoken tension. "Oscar," she breathed softly. I kept silent. Her laughter trembled in the air, a fragile sound that barely masked the electric tension pulsing between us. "I can hardly believe it's truly you." I lingered over my coffee, the warmth wrapping around me like a secret I dared not share. Here I stand, heart racing, caught in a moment that feels both thrilling and wrong. Her expression shattered. She had likely envisioned this moment countless times, believing I would be thrilled to see her, that we would share a heartfelt reunion, that I would finally allow her to speak her truth. She was blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Hadley slipped into the booth opposite me, her gaze probing, filled with unspoken longing. "Text, I searched for you in every shadow," she whispered, her voice trembling with longing. "You vanished without a trace." I remained silent. Her breath caught in her throat. "Oscar, I can't help but feel this ache in my heart." Yet, I remained silent. Her eyes brimmed with unshed tears. "Just this once. You have to understand what I did. What you dared to do." Text. I finally found my voice, tilting my head in a moment that felt both thrilling and dangerous. "Are you saying you would betray me? Are you really deceiving me right now? Did you really think you could use our home so carelessly while hiding behind false names in those hotel rooms?" Her heart raced. I leaned in closer, my voice a whisper, yet filled with unspoken intensity. "I've seen it all, Hadley. Each message, each whisper, each stolen moment. You didn't merely shatter my trust. You set it ablaze, leaving nothing but ashes behind." Her lower lip quivered, a silent plea hanging in the air between them. I was foolish. I crossed a line I shouldn't have. A fleeting smile graced my lips. A fleeting, bittersweet smile that hides so much more beneath the surface. "Don't, Hadley. A mistake is letting the warmth of a fleeting moment slip away, like the last drop of coffee in an empty pot. What you did to me. It was a decision that tugged at the heart, a moment suspended in time, filled with longing and unspoken desires." Her hands rested on the table, her fingers lightly tapping as if searching for the right words. I thought she inhaled, her breath trembling with unspoken feelings. "I hoped we could share a moment together. Perhaps." I chuckled softly, a bittersweet smile tugging at my lips. Giggled softly. "So close, yet so far away. Can we share a moment?" I turned away, my heart racing. "Hadley, I can't help but feel drawn to you, even though I know this connection is unexpected and perhaps wrong." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, just give me a moment to share my heart." I rose, heart racing, and let a few crumpled bills flutter onto the table. "Your silence speaks volumes." I snatched my jacket, stealing a final glance at her, my heart aching with unspoken words. "And I absolutely refuse to give you even a moment more of my time." And just like that, I stepped away, my heart heavy with what could never be. With a heart full of longing, she stepped away, knowing the weight of what she left behind. With a heart full of longing, lost in the silence of her absence. For 6 long months, Hadley had been searching for me, her heart aching with every passing day. She would forever feel the ache of what could have been, haunted by the knowledge that I was lost to her, always just out of reach. I slipped out of the diner, the cool night air wrapping around me like a secret. I inhaled deeply, feeling the thrill of the moment pulse through my veins. The cold pierced my lungs, yet it paled in comparison to the ache of indifference I felt for Hadley. She lingered in that booth, tears likely spilling into her hands, lost in thoughts of all the ways she might have mended their fragile world. But it was already too late. It was already too late the moment she picked Ronan instead of me. She believed she could track me down, cross city lines, and rewrite our story with a heartfelt plea, but some things are meant to stay lost. She believed she could erase every moment, every whisper of what had been. The heartache, the secrets, the endless nights of yearning, all unraveling with whispered confessions and silent tears. She was so very wrong. I thought I had left that chapter behind me. What about Hadley? She lingered like a haunting memory, impossible to forget. As I stepped through the door, a sense of freedom washed over me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in what felt like an eternity. Perhaps it was the moment I truly recognized her, a fleeting mistake I was meant to mend, yet my heart whispered otherwise. I poured myself a drink, sank into my chair, and let the heavy silence of my apartment wrap around me like a secret longing. There's an undeniable spark, a thrill that lingers just beneath the surface, waiting to ignite. Without hesitation. Don't, Hadley. For months, I had imagined the moment she would discover my presence, my heart racing at the thought of her gaze meeting mine. Would I dare to raise my voice? Could I bear to hear her out? Would I ever taste that familiar ache once more? But now, I felt the truth deep within me. My heart was a barren landscape, untouched and cold, until she stepped into my life, igniting a spark I never knew existed. And that was the sweetest victory of all. In the weeks that followed, I found myself yearning for a sign from her, a letter, a whispered word from a friend. The hope was bittersweet, tinged with the thrill of what could never be. Yet, silence lingered. I felt a pang in my chest, but I wasn't surprised. Hadley had always been the type who craved control, yet there was something about him that unraveled her resolve. The instant she understood her lack of control over me, I can only imagine her heart shattering. She sat alone in the silence of the empty house, lost in the haunting memories of a life she had let slip through her fingers. Each snapshot of us, every chair and table we chose side by side, now serves only as a haunting echo of what she can never reclaim. Ronan, he was likely lost to me as well. Their fleeting love was always meant to be a secret, a beautiful illusion that could never endure. And even if it was, it no longer mattered to me. One evening, I opened an email account I had almost forgotten, and there it was, a message nestled in my junk folder, waiting to be discovered. It was a message from Hadley. I lingered over the subject line, heart racing with a mix of anticipation and dread. Just take a moment to read this, please. I lingered on it for a heartbeat, then followed the pull of my heart, doing what felt undeniably right. I pressed delete, my heart racing with the weight of what I was letting go. Not a moment's doubt. No regrets. Hadley's farewell echoed in my heart the instant she stepped into that hotel room with Ronan. Now, I was parting from her. Forever. And this time, she was lost to me forever. Whisper your feelings below. What was the most heart-wrenching moment in Oscar's quest for vengeance? The encounter at the hotel? Leaving her in silence? Is this really the end? If this tale touched your heart, consider subscribing and showing some love with a like.